Welcome to Garden Cafe. I'm Maureen, and this is my Texas Zone 8B 9A garden. Today is going to be the August garden tour part 2. I have not been able to work very much in the garden recently. I twisted my ankle and I have bronchitis, so I think that'll be more apparent for this part 2 of my August tour. So be kind. Just to point out a few things that I did do is in part 1, the begonia here was dead and the double petunia over there was dead. I added the albutilon here and the moss rose seedlings. The albutilon I grew from seeds that I harvested at my sister's house in Houston, and the moss rose seeds are just seeds I believe I got from Park Seed. Anyway, they're going to be beautiful. They're going to be pretty. I'll put a picture here of what both of those will look like, but I'm really happy. So, part 2 of the August garden tour. One of the things I did want to point out a few things, folks. It is August. It's a difficult time of year. It's a lot of heat. Um, it, you have to be patient with yourself. I know in the north it's probably opposite during winter, waiting for spring. So everyone has their great seasons and their not so great seasons. During the difficult seasons, try to look for, just the few things in your yard that make you smile, that are pretty. Plan for what you might do different next year in the areas that aren't working so well, but find the beauty, find the joy, take some time to sit down and just look at what you created. So, part 2 starts with the little tiny pond waterfall. I'm going to bring you in closer here. I'm going to start with what's inside the pond, obviously. Huge water lilies, and I'll put a close up of the one little flower peeking out under this tremendous mountain of water lily leaves. My husband actually bought me this whole, almost a fishing boot, pants, and bib that I can put on so I can get in there without getting soaking wet this time. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all of the leaves that are mounding up and just leave the leaves that are resting on the water, on the surface of the water. I want to see more of my beautiful water lilies. But at this point, everything that grows is hidden by the canopy. So this is going to be a whole video on itself. But again, I'll put the photo close up of that water lily and you'll know why I'm going to be putting so much effort into it. Behind the waterfall, the purslane that I have planted there is growing. It is beautiful. It is starting to flower, and I'm absolutely thrilled with it. Down in the front, surprise, was this Gerbera daisy is still alive and still growing. Not many of mine are left, but that's pretty typical of August. My sunshine gazanias are still blooming as well, at least this one. The others are long since gone. And the Sweet William, this guy, man, I have a few areas of the Sweet William. They come back every year. So they've been my real happy surprise that really provides color from probably February to November. Obviously, in the spring and in the fall, it produces more flowers. But folks, this is so pretty. I mean, you can't complain about that. And the Angelonium, these were huge wins in my garden last year, color wise. I have the white, the purple, and the pink. For some reason, they were incredibly unhappy through the end of June and almost all of July, but they are starting to flower again. So I am so thrilled because I honestly didn't know if I was going to get as much of a wow out of this year. It's not quite what I call my wow level, but it's pretty and it's starting to bloom, so I'm pleased. To the left of my tiny pond, I have zinnias. It was funny, when I planted these, I thought they were profusion zinnias that would grow shorter and more flowers in the front. Well, clearly I was incorrect. They are not profusion zinnias. Um, they are taller, but they're pretty. And I've actually been cutting quite a few of them and bringing them inside. So, you know what? I'm happy. I'm a little disappointed, though, that the verbena in the back is not more of the star, but it ended up working out well. For some reason, my verbena started suffering, the pink and white. You can see they are pretty, but this whole area was flowers. And for some reason, this particular plant, this particular verbena, and I have it planted elsewhere in the yard and it's doing well, this one isn't happy. I put more soil in there. I put fertilizer. I've been watering it, so paying it a little bit more attention to it. And I believe it'll turn around. That came back all on its own this year from last year. So it is definitely a perennial in my area. So I'm happy with it. I just wish it was a little bit more wow. But again, it's August. I had to pick up the little Fisher boy back here. Squirrels, for some reason, love running and knocking him off his little seat there on the wagon. Behind it, that's just a purslane strand of one stem of purslane I stuck in there. Seems to like it there. Behind it is coleus, and that will grow bigger and taller and be pretty. And then my holly bush over here, I love it. It's very pretty. I think I'm going to trim it back. I don't want that to get too huge. And the holly is also over here. And I did cut back the lantana. Gorgeous, beautiful. It's got that orange red flower, but it was absolutely growing into the pond completely. Didn't want it there. And it was growing forward on top of the verbena, which may have been one of the reasons why the verbena was not so happy. Behind this little moon decoration, which, by the way, I love, got it from a friend. Behind that is Thryallis, which is starting to bloom. The funny thing is, I planted the Thryallis 2 years ago. It did not do well there. It died. So then I planted Pride of Barbados there. It died. This year, what started growing up, I originally thought, ooh, yay, Pride of Barbados. Love to see that come back. And instead, it was the Thryallis from the year previous that ended up coming back. But I like it. Thryallis is one of my husband's favorite flowers, favorite flowering plants. So, woohoo, I'm thrilled. These are two of the Rose of Sharon cuttings that I took 2 years ago, and they are growing, they are pretty, and they are flowering. I'm sorry you're not seeing them flower at this moment, but one is the white, one is the purple, and I sort of like that to fill up this area. So I'm happy with these right now. These guys are looking good. Down here is yarrow. Man, I have had zero luck growing yarrow. My sister in Houston, hers grows like crazy and she gets gorgeous flowers. So actually, what she suggested is I dig up some of hers and move it to my garden just to see if it makes a difference. We will see. The plumbago, absolutely love it. So funny, I actually have one of those half circles that keeps the bush up, and it did. It's raised it a bit instead of it flowing out onto the grass. I love it. It's beautiful. It's giving me flowers a little less, but then again, it's August. So as I said, everything is pretty much suffering, but it's clearly a very healthy, happy plant. So this is one of my big wins, and this is an area that does fill in, and I kind of like all of my gardens to fill in to this extent. But so plumbago, fabulous. I have a hollyhock down there on the ground that is coming back. It grew the most gorgeous flowers, and I'll try to find it and post a picture here. Cut it back. It got so infected with rust. It was just so awful. I tried to just cut back the affected leaves, ended up cutting the whole plant down, and it is growing back. Now you see there's definite bug trails in there, so it's getting eaten by something. I may come back here and just treat it just to see if it helps it at all, because that is a flower worth growing. Here is a Rose of Sharon, seeds I pulled off in Houston last year. Came home, planted them, and this is what I have. This was on the back porch. until just a few weeks ago, and I just planted it out here. So it's wilting a little bit, but it grew a flower, as you can see. So seems to be happy. I'm thrilled. Mexican sunflower. Folks, this one I'm totally going to take responsibility for. If I deadhead this, it just consistently puts out the most, well, these blooms. This one's a little bit older. Let me see. And right now I have so many of the ones, oh, there's a new bud. So many on here that are dead that a lot of this plant's energies right now are being diverted to creating seeds, which this time of year, I don't want it to create seeds. But to do that, you've got to be pretty vigilant about coming out and cutting off the deadheads. If I come out here and see some of these flowers, leaves too, are drying out. Yeah, I think this plant's under a lot of stress. But if you stick with it and you come out and just deadhead one or two a day, I mean, whatever dies, or even once a week, you'll have an entire plant just filled with these beautiful sunflowers. And they are so worth it. And this really, other than that, it takes little to no attention. It thrives in the heat and in the drought. It is definitely a plant to go forward with. I'm going to continue on with the tour at this point. I also grew the yellow torch Mexican sunflowers. I think it's the same problem back here. I just did not keep up with the deadheading, and it's trying to make seeds. I'll come out here and deadhead these properly, and this should be filled with flowers within a week or two. But this is definitely walk out on the back porch. These are nice to come out and see. Profusion zinnias, these are not the same color, but the ones that I thought I was planting over by the pond, they're wonderful border plants or front plants. They don't grow real tall. They provide a lot of color, and they're pretty easy to go. These here are calendulas. They're looking smaller. They're so much smaller than they were in the spring, but it's a healthy plant, and I fully expect this to just burst into bloom in the fall when we have cooler evening temperatures. So thrilled with that. The white vinca back here, I don't know. It's a 50-50. It's not bad. It does bloom flowers every so often, but it doesn't quite provide the show I thought it was going to. These three in here, ooh, spiderweb. These three in here are three different colored mums, which I absolutely love. But I cut them back, got all of the spring flowers cut back. These are setting just hundreds of buds, and they will just be absolutely stunning and gorgeous in the fall. Looking forward to it. This here is an Esperanza I planted last year. It died, same as the Pride of Barbados on the other side, but it grew back also. So I'm thrilled that I did plant a few things around it, not knowing that that was going to come back. This area right now, not too impressive. It's not ugly. It's interesting leaves and textures and slightly different shapes. Um, I'm really looking forward, though, in the fall to all of this being, I'm hoping, a wall of flowers in here. Shade Garden Impatiens. Guys, this has just been the best flowers to plant right here under this window. They don't like sun, and this area is protected. They do like a lot more water, and it's right by the hose, so it just gets watered. Whether we intentionally do it or not, it gets enough water to it. They are getting a little leggy, and I think I am going to cut them back. There are leaves growing closer to the soil, so if I cut back these taller ones, but they're so pretty, I'm just think I'm going to let them go for now. When it starts getting a little bit cooler nights, I'll cut them back, see if it will flesh out a whole new crop of gorgeous flowers for the fall. This area unintentionally ended up being just a tremendous hodgepodge. I planted some seeds last fall, the purple coneflower that my aunt sent me from Maine, I believe, and planted. Didn't think they were going to come in. They literally just started growing like mid-June. So I added things like the scarlet sage, which the one I have in the front is not this tall, so this grew much bigger than I thought. Mexican heathers underneath. I'd kind of like to see those a little bit more. Man, do I need to weed. Um, so pretty purple antennas growing and struggling. This ginger curcumin I got last year, not this past March, but the previous March. It grew one flower last year, and then that was it. I honestly, my sister has like one that has 2 dozen of these flowers and very impressive. So I was so beyond excited when that second flower started growing. I'll be cutting this one back soon, but frankly, in an area that's not showing a whole lot of color right now, I'm going to let it go for a little bit. This is one of the 4 o'clocks that I grew with the intention of making it into a 4 o'clock tree. And I'll show you a picture of the 4 o'clock trees I was able to create. Never got around to it because when I was going to be breaking off the lower branches and leaves to make it a 4 o'clock tree is when the ginger curcumin started growing back. So I just let things go where they would this year in this area, but clearly I planted seeds last fall. I think I planted bulbs in here in January. Some things grew back and some plants I moved. This area was clearly not very well thought out, but frankly, color would be fabulous. This is the Sulphur Cosmos. And oh my gosh, you guys, from a mile away, you can see these flowers when they're blooming also need to be deadheaded. And Mexican petunia grew back here, traveled from the other side of the yard. Over here is more of the scarlet sage. Again, these guys are huge, and I did not expect them to be this large. Angelonium is being buried underneath. I frankly may just cut this one out. This is Scarlet Bee Balm. Again, guys, clearly you can see I have not been out in the yard much recently at my house, so definitely need some attention. Coolest looking flowers on the planet. I will post a photo of what those look like. Love them. Back there, you can kind of see, move this aside, back there is a Mandevilla. That was planted before I knew the Scarlet Bee Balm was going to come back. Actually, I may cut these all the way back just to show you. They are growing new, fresh, and happy leaves down here. So I may just cut this back. Well, I'm doing it as I'm talking to you. And then the Mandevilla will have a chance to shine just a little bit. Over here is a silver, and I can't remember the specific name, but silver something celosia. Very pretty. These should get a little bit bigger. I expected to have taller branches to cut and bring inside and put in vases. They're still little, but they are pretty. And I may use some of these just to add to some of the cut flowers I am bringing in. This entire mess back here is lantana. It's pretty. It's one of the confetti lantanas. Little bigger, though, than I prefer. So let's move down the line. This expanse here finishes probably the longest section of fence between the pond to the corner, but it's probably my longest fence. I planted a whole bunch of things in here that would grow bigger, sunflowers, but they're pretty much almost had their say. And again, this is another one I'm just not coming in and I'm not deadheading enough. And if I did, I'm sure all of this would look so much more pretty, so much prettier, and on a lot more flowers. My own fault, but it's got a lot of buds. Again, I'm going to come out and just have a deadheading run for a few days through my yard. Some more of the scarlet sage, pretty. It's a nice filler, a little bigger in the back here against this fence than anywhere else. I don't think I want it to get this large. I'm okay with it for the moment, but going forward, I may cut those back earlier in the year. This entire area, from this point all the way to the corner, and I'll bring you over to the left-hand side of it, is pretty brand new. We just put in this no-till garden. We moved the borders out and created an entire no-till garden in here. 8 months ago. I mean, it wasn't long ago. It hasn't not been here that long. So everything you see was just newly planted. Um, things that we put in. Goodness. Again, more deadheaded and eating. Dahlias. I put a few dahlias in. We planted rudbeckia. And you can see, God, these are so pretty. They're just stunning. So I'll be thrilled when even more of those grow. Oh, look at that. We got this huge, incredibly heavy pot back here. Terracotta. They painted it. We got it from neighbors. Endlessly thrilled with it. Tried to plant a few things in here. Um, not real pleased with the overall look, so I'm going to rethink what I'm going to plant here next year. I actually may take those on this one, and there's a few others on as a project for maybe fall plants. I'm not sure. 4 o'clock back here. Yeah, it's just about time, past its time. Oleander. Folks, since the big freeze over 5 years ago, this thing has only bloomed one bloom last year, which I was, yay! It's healthy. I have used fish fertilizer. If anyone has any ideas on what to do, because I do remember a time when we used to just get so many flowers out of this oleander. Back here again, I really went for the bigger plants to fill in the new garden areas. So sunflowers, Mexican sunflowers, tiger eye sunflowers, anything basically to just fill it in for its first season, with the new garden. Not real pleased with this one. I will not do this one again. This is the center. You're looking at the corner of the fence of the new no-till garden. Tons of space. And again, tried things here, tried things there. Folks, it's all an experiment. Your garden is yours. You want to make it so you come out and go, I love it. Oh, so pretty. This, some areas of prettiness like the drift roses, the lighter pink one and the darker pink one here that my sister gave me, absolutely love. The profusion zinnias, lots of color. Dahlias, powdery mildew. I mean, pretty flowers. I've been cutting them and actually bringing them into one of the smaller vases I have. But overall, as a plant, this is not an area you go, how pretty. There are little stones, walking stones that go back there. I liked that look in spring. I wanted to put plants here that would kind of amplify, this very quaint looking corner. Didn't work out so fabulous this year, but you know what? That's okay. I'm looking at things I like. I'm looking at things that failed. Totally need to come in and pull out, man, half of this stuff over here is weeds. But overall, I'm happy we did this corner. And I think with just a few tweaks that I can really make this next year. So I will walk out here and just, deep breath. It'll be pretty. More terracotta pots from the neighbors. They sold their house, so they gifted us so much of the heavier terracotta pots in their backyard, and I was thrilled. Coleus in one seems to like it there. I don't even remember what I planted in the other one, but it clearly did not last. Anyway, this is another area I need to come through, and I need to pick one section of the yard to do per day and then go on to other projects or videotapes. But one section that I can come in and just go gangbusters on weeding and cutting and pruning, and then move on to the next section, the next yard, the next day. But anyway, happy with some things, not happy with others. It's all a learning experience. We will make it even better next year. This is what I called my Christmas garden. We did an experiment with amaryllis bulbs. We pulled them out of the ground too late for Christmas last year. Well, almost too late. A few did bloom. And we planted them in little pots to give as gifts. We waxed a few, which they were gorgeous, and I'll try to find the photos that we did. That was before I did this channel. So this year, so what you're supposed to do, and again, Christmas garden, amaryllis, all through here. And there's even a poinsettia back here. And I've got some paper whites that are floating in here. I'm debating whether to dig up the poinsettia and pot it and bring it into the house. I may not do that. I may leave it out here, and it should give us some really beautiful Christmas color. Again, Central Texas. Everything else in here is going to be harvested, pulled up in the first week of September. And you cut off the green leaves and the roots and you put it in a dark location to dry for 2 months. And then at that point, you decide which ones you want to plant in pots or wax. This is going to be an entire video that I will create, with the little steps, and probably won't put out there until after Christmas, so anyway, that'll be a this fall project for a next year video, because that entire process is probably from harvest to bloom 3.5 months. So you'll see that later. But I told my sister I want color. I mean, yes, it's my Christmas garden. Isn't it fabulous? Clerodendron babies everywhere, guys. This used to be a huge clerodendron area, but I wanted to turn it into the Christmas garden. I wanted colors, so my lovely sister came in. Goodness. Lovely sister came in and planted all this Gomphrena. Look at all these colors. This is an area I come back and look at and I smile. I love this. It is so pretty. All this back here is going to be so much fun. Projects, but it's not visually. Look at that. This is. I like this. This is another no-till garden. This was the first really big no-till garden, and my husband and I did it last November. This was all grass. You walked through and it was all grass. Other than the center umbrella plants that we have in here, going into the honeysuckle in Stonehead Garden. We'll get there in a minute. This was all grass going straight through, and I wanted this to be a path and a shade garden, because clearly with these trees, none of this area gets a huge amount of sun. So my sister, again, she grew the most stunning. She has just a way of growing seeds. She is helping me to improve my skills in that area. I think I'm still a little ways from her, but she planted all these different coleus seeds at her house, and she just brought me several flats. Anywhere you see coleus in my yard probably came from her seeds. But we decided to turn this entire entrance going in this way into a shade coleus garden of just a bunch of different colors. I love it. This is beautiful. This is another area that just makes me smile. Clerodendron, I decided I moved 3 of the babies. You'll see them on the other side, and one is finally starting to flower. One grew back under this tree over here, and it's doing beautiful. I keep cutting all of the clerodendron babies that keep trying to grow back up in here. There's another one. But I decided to leave this one because it is in the shade. And as I said, this area, I'm trying to cover as much of the fence and the hardscape as possible with plants. So I decided to leave this one here as well. This one makes me happy. My sister got me, I want to say in January or February, it was around there. It was the beginning of the year. Put it together, and we ran all of these little lights through. They're all solar, so they turn on automatically at night. And I'm going to make sure I put a picture here of what this whole area looks like at night. This arch is just so pretty. On this side, I planted trumpet vine, and you can see it's grown up and over. On that side, jessamine, and that has already grown up and over. Exactly what I wanted. Both flowers meet at the top, cross over. I want to see both flowers, basically on both sides. Around the base, I did seed dahlias, which were stunning all spring. I did cut those back already, and I am getting some growth back, but right now, not very impressive. And honestly, I'm thinking maybe profusion zinnias around the base of this on both sides for next year, something lower. These seed dahlias got pretty big. Over here, kaleidoscope butterfly bush. I did have a tree that I wanted to grow here. My sister and I each had one. Neither one survived the winter. We don't have the right climate for it. So I planted this kaleidoscope butterfly bush. because in this area of the yard, I really, in my mind, I want paths through my yard with different things to see. This was just a huge expanse of lawn. So to break that up, now that the tree is gone, I wanted something that was large and colorful and low maintenance. Big important point to me. And the kaleidoscope butterfly bush fit that bill. When I got it, just April, it was 3 sticks, looking like dead sticks, about that tall. That was it. My husband said, they sent us a dead plant. I said, no, let's just plant it and see what happens. And look, folks, it grew. So this must be really easy to propagate from cuttings, I would assume. But anyway, this should be getting bigger and even more beautiful. This is Stonehead Garden, well, for obvious reasons. I have spent the last 3 years, no matter what I plant here, never grows well, always dies. I did put in the seed dahlias in the spring, and even now still, it's not very pretty. But I'm still getting very pretty dahlias, seed dahlias in here. But clearly, this is not the look I'm going for. It looks messy, it looks leggy, and honestly, all of these are probably ready to be cut back. Hopefully, yeah, you can see them even starting to grow again from the soil. So I am going to cut these back, but next year again, I want something lower. I don't know, maybe a little tropical. Any ideas you have? This area does get water because underneath this honeysuckle bush and the umbrella plants used to be inside that honeysuckle plant was one of those vases where they had a pump in it that gurgled up through and spilled over the vase and back into the ground, kind of like my waterfall. So we're assuming, and it was very grown in and together when we bought the house. So clearly there's a pump somewhere under all of here. And clearly there must be a lining in here that, allowed the water to recycle. So this area does have more water, as you can see. Everything back here is love and life. This one strip right in front of where we have Stonehead has been so unhappy. And folks, I have literally, I don't know what else to try here. It gets a lot of shade this time of year. A month ago, it got more dappled light. The entire beginning of the year, it got full sun. I'm just not sure what to plant in here that will thrive and grow and look pretty. Again, I want to walk in and go, ah, how pretty. This is not doing it for me right now. But again, it is August. Everything right now is not thrilled. Um, but regardless, it's a little tall. The profile is much taller than I want in this area. This is a no-till garden that my husband and I created. I want to say this one actually was one of the first few videos as well. I have the Savannah Rose bush, which is now looking happier. You can look at I think it was just 1 or 2 videos ago, where I cut out all of the zinnias in both of these caged in areas. I caged them in because, man, none of the roses were happy with, they were tall zinnias, just falling all over them. But it was way past due. They're cut and come again, but if you don't cut, the plants don't like you very much. So anyway, I decided to start from square one. I cut them back. I'm going to throw more seeds. I will loosen the soil a bit, throw more zinnia seeds, because again, our growing season can easily go into December, and throw more of them. So, and then the rock rose, love, pretty, so much happier now that the zinnias are gone. And the ones by the way, that I'm going to be throwing are lower, not as tall, and I'll have them already staked, in these fenced areas here. So I think that'll be okay. Bearded iris, confusing. I got one incredibly gorgeous flower out of this year. Worth it to leave them. But I guess they're spring flowers. So they're pretty green. I'm going to let it go. And hopefully we'll get even more gorgeous flowers next spring. And then this monstrosity is my soul sister rose. I totally need to prune this way back, because the roses that I have been getting are growing, 8 feet up, straight up, and I don't get to enjoy them. So I'm going to cut them lower and try to encourage them to flower forward. I simply call this garden my dining room window garden. And the reason why I give it that name is when you walk into my house, this is the first window you look out. And my plan was to look out here and see gorgeous flowers just blooming outside the window. Got a little bit of that. I think I moved it along. Again, this is not a year old. This is a no-till garden, not a year old. I planted bare root roses back here, fire and ice. What grew was yellow roses. Obviously, the bare root was incorrectly labeled, but I kind of liked the yellow roses, so it was sort of a happy mistake. Um, I wasn't upset by it. Lantana, you can basically cut this as small or let it get as big as you want. They always really do flower very nice. Some more of the scarlet sage. I think I went overboard on this. All the scarlet sage growing out on the front swoop is shorter, lower, very colorful. For some reason, and I took cuttings from them, for some reason, the ones that I planted back here from the cuttings grew into these massive, huge plants. And they're pretty, but I don't want it to be this high. I just don't. It's just a personal preference. Again, I need to come back here and just deadhead and clean up a lot of this. This is another one of the sunflowers. This was one of the, I want to say this was one of the tiger eye uh, varieties. Anyway, beautiful flowers all spring. I was happy with it. A little surprised. I guess even sunflowers in Texas are not the happiest plants on the planet. That's okay. Live and learn. But anyway, I'm going to rethink some of this. Oh, and I want you to see what's growing back here that my husband loves and I think is pretty stunning. This is called Black Pearl, and it grows just the most stunning red berries and then or flowers first, then they turn red berries, then they turn into, literally folks, it's so aptly named Black Pearl. So beautiful. This one grew back and we were thrilled, and this was pretty large last year, and then for some reason we came through and it was gone. We just figure a critter must have come along and munched on the stem and carried it away, so we sort of gave up on it. And I planted zinnias and the sunflowers and the scarlet sage in there. And then, surprise, one day we just happened to look back there. The black pearl is back. So I'm really thrilled, and I'm hoping we see that again next year. Over on the right hand side of the dining room window, again, more of the sunflowers. I probably won't plant them here in front of this window again. They were beautiful for about a minute and then they were done. Pentas, kind of pretty, but I need something taller that, again, when you're walking through my house, you look out and you see flowers. Lots of profusion zinnias down here, the white ones, which I love. And I think, honestly, I'm going to get I'm going to get different colors of the profusion zinnias, and you're going to see that a lot on my borders next year. Back here, I love these orange flowers. I think they're in the zinnia family. Anyway, I just love the color. I think that was perfect. I'd probably just want to move it up closer. Again, low, pretty, beautiful color. I want the borders to look almost entirely of all different colors like that. These are called spider flowers. I have 3 of them. My sister gave me. They grew the most interesting, and it's spider flowers is probably not the right name. I'll get the right name and I'll put it here. Different colors, absolutely gorgeous. The It's All an Experiment learning here is this area, I think, gets too blasted or doesn't have, I think they need to be planted in bunches, and I think they need to have dense planting around them to protect the lower part of the plant, because my sister's is like over 5 feet tall and blooming just like crazy. So I did collect seeds from this one and my sister's. I am going to start those seeds in the fall. And when I do plant them out, I'm going to plant them in drifts so that they're all together. They don't need staking because they'll have a lot of, each other to support themselves. This is what you see looking out my dining room window when you look past the garden I'm hopefully going to have at some point with flowers down lower, is my black diamond crepe myrtle. I love this plant. I really do. We are training it to grow more of a tree with a higher canopy because of the gardens we have back here. And this, again, when your eye looks out that dining room window, you've got the plants growing right outside the window. Little bit of lawn, that black diamond crepe myrtle, gorgeous. And then you see this. This, again, this is all part of the first no-till garden my husband and I did. This is the other side of it. The path through the Coleus garden leads over in this direction. All of this is part of what we turned into no-till shade garden. Clerodendron, always a go-to. Haven't seen any flowers from them yet, although I do see little buds, I'm hoping. And I'll put a picture of what the clerodendrons look like farther down the fence. They're so worth it. I wanted something big. I wanted something tropical looking and showy. These I planted throughout the yard. Caladium, and then on either side of every caladium, I planted hostas, Big Daddy, and I can't remember the name of the other one. I wanted more textures and colors. The caladium and the hostas were supposed to be at the same height. The hostas just did not thrive anywhere. There was not one place in my yard where, holy cow, it's a gorgeous hosta. I don't know why, and I'll look into that a little bit more. The up front here was an entire line of Kalanchoe, which actually bloomed so much more than what I thought it was going to. I think the heat finally got to it. A lot of them underneath just didn't make it. But it is August, so it's possible some of them may bounce back once the temperatures start cooling in the evening. The hydrangea died to the dirt. It did start coming back this year. We had a few storms where, for whatever reason, that one just broke or got flattened. It's growing back. It's the little plant that would. It's trying. So I will continue to fertilize it and water it, and we'll see what happens. But it was a beautiful hydrangea, and man, my brain pictured it filling in this area. A little more research needs to be done on that as well. And then some begonias, they're always go-to plants. And I'm going to end my garden tour in this last corner that I call my bench garden. Not very creative with the names, but when I say what they are, it's pretty clear to everybody who knows my yard exactly what garden I'm talking about. This is my bench garden. The azaleas behind me, absolutely fabulous in the spring. Love them. I'm fine with them now. Even, obviously they only flower a few times a year, but they're worth it. They are. And frankly, as a bush, just a green bush, they're pretty too. So I'm perfectly fine with that. On either side of the bench here are two of the huge and very heavy ceramic pots the neighbors gave us, the last two. In these, I put potato vines, the lime potato vines on either side, a red potato vine in the center. But as you can see, the lime potato vine is a serious bully, folks. Potato vines are great, fabulous, wonderful. Very little care or energy is needed to do anything with them. They are bullies in the garden, so unless you absolutely intend on being vigilant, and you can see that one over there is already starting to crawl across the ground, to cut those back and give them good haircuts. Unless you plan on giving them good haircuts, my son's being a goof over here distracting me. Unless you plan on giving them haircuts, think about these. But if you have an area you want to fill with color, these are the go-to, at least in central Texas. Thryallis, love it. Comes back every year. Gorgeous. Very little effort taken on that one. I do cut it back though in the winter and let it regrow. So it is pretty. Now buried in these potato vines, another reason why I think these potato vines through, I have Ixora planted in both of them. That one's finally starting to flower again, which is pretty. My brain pictured the Ixora taller. So I'd have the yellow Thryallis, the red Ixora, and then the potato vines around the base. Potato vine's a bully, people. It really is. But I do like it. I like the way it looks. So I'm just going to look for something maybe taller. That one's taller, but not flowering as much. Something that will flower and give me a little additional color back here. And I think that is it. If you enjoyed my video, please hit subscribe, like, and share. It helps me to grow my channel. You have a wonderful day.